The sun hung low over the city, painting the sky in soft orange hues as cars weaved through the busy downtown streets. Lena Carter, a successful corporate attorney, was on her way home from a long day in court. Her sleek black Mercedes moved smoothly through traffic as she hummed softly to the music playing through the speakers. But as she reached a quiet intersection, the sudden flash of red and blue lights filled her rearview mirror. Lena's stomach tightened. She glanced at the speedometer. She wasn't speeding. She checked her surroundings. No traffic violations. And yet the police car behind her signaled for her to pull over. With a sigh, she flicked on her turn signal and eased onto the side of the road. This wasn't her first time dealing with this. But something about tonight felt different. A moment later, heavy boots stomped toward her driver's side window. She rolled it down, keeping her hands visible on the steering wheel, just as she had been taught. License and registration. The voice was sharp, impatient. Officer Brent Harding, a middle-aged cop with broad shoulders, a square jaw, and an attitude that reeked of unchecked authority. Lena stayed calm. "May I ask why I'm being pulled over, officer?" Harding scoffed. "Step out of the vehicle." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." His voice hardened. "Out. Now." Lena exhaled, her patience thinning. "With all due respect, officer, unless you can tell me what I've done wrong, I have no reason to exit my vehicle." Harding's nostrils flared. To him, she was just another black woman with an expensive car that he assumed she had no business owning. "You're refusing to comply?" he sneered. "You want to play tough?" Lena met his gaze, her voice steady. "I want to know why I'm being stopped." A few cars slowed down as drivers rubbernecked, sensing tension. A couple of bystanders on the sidewalk had already pulled out their phones, recording. Harding's lips curled into a smirk. "Step out or I'll make you." With a deep breath, Lena unbuckled her seatbelt and opened the door. She knew her rights. As soon as she stepped out, Harding grabbed her roughly by the arm and spun her toward the car. "Hands on the hood." Her jaw clenched. "This is unnecessary." "I give the orders here." His voice was dripping with arrogance. Lena refused to let anger take control. Instead, she spoke loud enough for the cameras to hear. "Officer, am I under arrest?" Harding ignored her. He patted down her pockets aggressively, his hands lingering longer than needed. People on the sidewalk started murmuring. A young woman recording whispered, "This isn't right." An older man called out, "Hey, what's she done wrong?" But Harding wasn't listening. His ego was in full control now. "You think you're somebody, huh?" he sneered as he pulled out her wallet. "Driving a car like this? Wearing fancy clothes? Acting like you own the damn place." Lena inhaled sharply, holding herself steady. "You have no idea who I am, do you?" Harding let out a laugh. "And who exactly are you?" He flipped open her wallet and scanned her ID. Then, he froze. His smirk vanished. His fingers twitched slightly as he reread the name. Lena Carter. A name that had been spoken in courtrooms, legal circles, and police departments across the city. A high-profile civil rights attorney. A woman who had won lawsuits against officers just like him. His heart dropped. He felt the weight of dozens of eyes watching, phones recording, the murmurs growing louder. Lena tilted her head slightly, her voice calm but sharp as a blade. "Now do you understand what you've just done?" Harding's throat tightened. He could already see the headlines. Sergeant Daniels, Harding's superior, arrived moments later, stepping out of a second patrol car. His face paled when he saw Lena. "Miss Carter," he began, his tone respectful. She turned to him smoothly. "Sergeant, I assume you've assessed the situation?" Daniels glanced at Harding, then at the gathering crowd. He could feel the tension, the weight of the moment. This is a misunderstanding," he stammered. "We can clear this up." Lena folded her arms. "A misunderstanding?" Her voice carried. Or a targeted stop based on racial bias? Harding stiffened. Daniels shifted uncomfortably. The cameras were still rolling. Lena took a step forward, locking eyes with Harding. Here's what's going to happen. Harding swallowed hard. First, I want an official apology, right now, on camera. His mouth went dry. He looked at Daniels, who only gave a stiff nod. With the world watching, he had no choice. He cleared his throat. I apologize for any inconvenience. Lena raised an eyebrow. For what exactly? A long silence. His jaw clenched. For stopping you without just cause. The crowd murmured. And? Lena prompted. His face burned. And for treating you unfairly. Lena nodded. Good. She turned back to Sergeant Daniels. Now, I will be filing a formal complaint and reviewing my legal options. Expect a lawsuit. Daniels sighed, rubbing his temple. Understood. The shift in power was complete. By the next morning, the video had gone viral. Racist cop humiliates black woman. Panics when he uncovers her true identity. Social media exploded. News outlets picked up the story. Within 24 hours, Harding was placed on administrative leave. Within a week, a full internal investigation was launched. Within a month, Lena filed a lawsuit. The city erupted in debate. Protesters called for police reform. Harding became a cautionary tale about the consequences of racial profiling. And Lena? She continued fighting for justice, using her voice to amplify the conversation beyond herself. This isn't just about me, she told reporters. This is about every person who has ever been stopped, harassed, or humiliated because of the color of their skin. And I won't stop until real change happens. Her case set new legal precedents. Her name became a symbol of resistance. And as for Officer Harding? He disappeared into obscurity, his career shattered, a man brought down by his arrogance.